Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day and you're staying safe. I'm Sesa, Gill, a legal intern at LEXIS and Company, and today I'm going to be talking about absolute liability. Now, let's talk about its interpretation in India. The modification in the existing doctrine of Ryan versus Fletcher led to the development of doctrine of absolute liability through MC Mehta versus Union of India that prevented the defendant from taking up any defense against payment of the compensation. If an industry or an enterprise is involved with any inherently dangerous activity, then for any damages arising out of this condition of that activity, the defendant, the owner of the industry, will have no access to any defense or exception um, and will be absolutely liable to pay the compensation to the aggrieved parties. Now, enterprises which will be held responsible for all possible damages or consequences resulting in the activity, this will make such an provide safety equipment to the workers to prevent any mishap. Therefore, this will be significant. There will be safeguard the interests of the workers and will give them a refund for safe working environment. Then there is no escape. There's no requirement of escape. The element of escape will be which is an essential in strict liability may be ignored here as this restricts the application of this doctrine of absolute liability. As often, incidents may arise where escape of dangerous things may be poisonous, like poisonous fumes, may not take place inside the industry premises, but may damage the workers inside. In such a case, the workers' right to compensation will not be ignored. Therefore, the extent of this principle is to be applied in a wider context, ruling out the element of escape. Now, the deep pocket theory. In case where strict liability appears or applies, compensation paid according to the nature or the according to the nature of the damage caused, but in case of absolute liability, compensation or damages is to be paid is exemplary in nature. The amount decided upon should be more than the damage caused, as industrial hazardous accidents generally cause mass death and destruction of property and environment. Now I'm going to be talking about two of the main cases where the doctrine of absolute liability has been applied to. The first is MC Mehta versus the Union of India in 1987. Shriram Foods and Fertilizers Plant, Delhi, was situated an immense a population of 200,000 people. Now, in manufactured items such as glycerin soaps and technical hard oil, the petitioner MC Mehta filed a writ petition under Article 32 in the Supreme Court to obtain an order of closure of the plant and its reallocation to an area where would not be not of any real danger to the health and safety of people under Article 21. During the petition, the oil gas leak for the plant causing significant damage to health to the local population proceeded to which to compensate the claims were filed. This gas leak obtained soon after the infamous Bhopal gas leak and created a lot of panic in Delhi. One person died in the accident and a few were hospitalized. This case lays down the principle of absolute liability and the concept of deep pockets. the theory of deep pockets. Now, the second case that I'm going to be talking about is one of the most infamous cases. There is the Bhopal caste tragedy, or the Union Carbonate Corporation versus the Union of India. This doctrine has upheld the infamous Bhopal caste tragedy, which took place in between invitation on the second night and the 3rd of December 1984, the gas leak of MIC, poisonous gas from the Union Carbonate Company in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, led to a major disaster, and over 3,000 people lost their lives. There were heavy losses to property, flora and fauna. The effects were so grave that the children that are born in those places, still with deformities, even today. A case filled in America in New York District Court as the Union Cabinet case in Bhopal was as a branch of the U.S. based UN Union Carbonate Company. The case was dismissed there and owning to any jurisdiction. The government of India enacted the Bhopal Gas Tragedy Proceeding of the Claims Act 1985 and sued the company for damages on behalf of the victims. The court, applying the principle of absolute liability, held the company liable and ordered it to pay compensation to the victims. Now, the last topic that I'm going to be talking about is the difference between the principle of absolute liability and strict liability. First is exceptions. Whereas the principle of strict liability allows exceptions if the liability has been occurred by an act of God or by act of third party, etc. But absolute liability, on the other hand, offers no exceptions to the industries involved in hazardous activities and are liable to the damages so triggered with notwithstanding adhered to the highest safety norms. The second is the deep pocket theory. Now, under absolute liability, the extent of damages depends on the magnitude and the financial capacity of the institute. However, under strict liability, compensation is payable as per the nature and the nature of the crime, of the damages caused. The third is escape. Under the doctrine of absolute liability, the element of escape is not essential. In other words, the rule of absolute liability shall be acceptable to those injured within the premises and the person outside the premise. However, the same is not applied under the doctrine of strict liability. With that, I end the topic today. I hope this was an interesting topic. And the question for my lovely viewers today is that, do you think under the doctrine of absolute liability, there should be some exceptions allowed and some escapes allowed as there are in this doctrine of strict liability? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.